What's up, Charles?
What's up, brother?
We are live. I love it when it works, Charlie. I love it when it works, man.
Well, I am sorry that I am dark as dark can be. And it's, as you can tell, I haven't left the airport. I'm still in my office. It's just one of those things, man. But I felt the need that to not miss tonight because we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, a slight deviation out of COVID, but I think information that is very important. And
Mhm.
when and I'll share a little bit when Nikki Ann and Senator Kouchi come on. But yeah, this was a no-brainer. And again, I want to thank Steph, your lovely wife, for making the connection and making this show happen.
Mhm.
Uh, but just I think we'll get a lot of people on tonight. I'm hoping that if you're on already, please hit the share button, share it with every on your page, share it with your friends, especially the young ladies out there that may be able to
Yes.
benefit from the information that we're getting tonight. For parents with young daughters and granddaughters, it's a great show for you guys.
Hmm.
I'm excited. I'm excited. It's actually, Charlie, I got to tell you, man. No, don't get me wrong. I am still very concerned and worried about the threat of COVID. But I also believe that with this platform, we're able to share information that is vital to our viewers.
Hmm.
Tonight is just one example of that. And we're talking about the Ma'i movement. Um, it's preventing period poverty, and it's an interesting concept. But I think as men, we don't look at this as we don't think about this much, except when your wife tells you, "Hey, when you go to the store, can you go pick me up some pads or tampons or whatever it is?" But what the one thing that I didn't really realize until I saw this clip on the news a week or so ago with this Ma'i movement was there are girls out there that do not have access to feminine sanitary products. And as I was watching the show, I was heartbroken, man. That can you imagine what it would be like as a young girl uh, having your period and not being able to have the necessary products because your family can't afford it or whatever the case may be. And and again, thanks to your wife, we'll have Nikki-Ann Yee, co-founder of the Ma'i movement, as well as Senator Ron Kouchi to talk. So I'm excited, man. I really am. It's just nice to get away from COVID for a little bit and share some very 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 important information. Are you there, Charlie? That is Charlie, guys. That is Charlie. He's dark. He was in the sun all day today.
No, no, no. I'm sorry. As you can tell, I'm here in my office at the Lihui Airport. I've been here since 4 this morning. And that's how my day usually is. So that's why the nights that I don't come on, it's because I'm still working. And gotta admit, it's a never-ending battle here. But good things happened today. As we're waiting for our guests, I'll just share with you that had the opportunity of sharing an insight about the airports in the state of Hawaii and what we provide and all the nuances that goes into obtaining a contract this size. And we had a lot of executives on the call today, and and uh, they were very heartfelt in their responses that they didn't know, because you think about it this way, right? You dealing with LAX. Well, we all know that LAX has its own police department, right? That comes under LAPD, right? Well, here in Hawaii, it's a little different. The law enforcement component is the airport security and airport police. That's how it is. So there are a lot of things that we had to kind of spell out for a lot of these executives to understand. There's different facets of how you keep the driving public safe, what kind of training goes into that, and the list goes on and on and on. So I was one of the presenters to these individuals across all the major airports throughout the United States, coming from Florida up to New York, to middle U.S., Chicago, places like Chicago, Philadelphia, all the way to the West Coast, LAX, San Fran, SeaTac. So I was in good company today, and I felt like we accomplished our job, and that was to present wholeheartedly what we entail from day to day and what it's like when you obtain a contract such as this. So that's what happened, my friend. So I apologize. I'm still at work today, and where I'm sitting right now, it's kind of the dark spot of the office. That's where my monitor is set up. That's the desk behind me is one of my staff that is with me throughout the entire day, and she gets the light, and I get all the dark.
Hey, dark is not always bad, man. Dark is not always bad.
Yeah,
The,
yeah.
the good thing is we can tell it's you based on your profile and your voice. That
Okay, well
wonderful,
that's good.
wonderful voice. So we're excited. I know. I see we have Nikki-Ann Yee.
Hmm.
She is in the green room. I don't see her camera. Maybe she turned her camera off. I'm not sure. I saw her pop on earlier and then pop right off. Probably figured she was interrupting these two guys talking about stuff. But Nikki, are you there? Nikki. Senator, I just got a little message from Senator Kouchi's office. He's actually in the green room, but he's away from the camera, so he will be on shortly. Nikki,
Yes, yes. I'm not sure how to turn it on and off.
you had it right the first time, Nikki, when you popped on. You had it on. Okay, she's gonna hop back off and hop back on.
Okay.
I am like stoked. I'm excited. It's always great when we get new people on the show. We get new people to share, especially on topics that you would not expect Uncle Charlie and myself to be discussing. And I'm
Oh,
hoping that I'm hope.
I've discussed this topic many times with my beautiful wife, especially when she asked me, she says, honey, can you go down to the store to get X, Y, or Z, right? And I said,
Yeah,
sure.
that's kind of the extent of our involvement with that's our movement is when we got to go to the store for buy pads or tampons for the wife. And I remember at a time where we're much younger. For some reason, we felt like that was such a burden. But after I welcome Nikki-Ann Yee.
Aloha Mel, aloha Charlie. Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight.
We were just talking that we're so excited. It's funny how things happen. Yeah, how things nothing happens by accident. That's number one. So let me
Yep.
just give you a real quick before we introduce you. But let me just say, it was last month. My wife is in the Zonta Club here on Kauai, and she came home with all these boxes. She says, "Oh, we got to decorate these boxes because we're working on this period poverty program." And I was like, "What the heck is a period? What's period poverty?" And she said, "Oh, we're going to collect feminine products, feminine hygiene products, and we're going to pass them out uh, through the Zonta Club." And Edie Ignacio Newmiller, who ran this program, this project, so they all decorated these boxes really nice, and then they put it out all over the place, and they solicited donations, and they were able to distribute over 200 what they called kindness totes. And it went to KEO, YWCA, went to the Catholic Charities, Wilcox Elementary School. And then while this was going on, I saw the news clip, your news clip, the Ma'i movement. And I gotta say, it was heartbreaking to hear what some of these young ladies go through. And I'll let you explain, but it was refreshing to hear your story and what you folks are doing. So with that, Nikki-Ann Yee, I just want to thank you for making the time for coming on tonight and sharing your story, your organization, your mission. Senator Kouchi is will be on shortly. But thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was asked to. We have a village. We call this the village. And one of our villagers, a good friend George White, he informed me to tell you that he says hi, and he will be on watching tonight. So.
Oh, lovely. Yes. George's mother was my principal at Sacred Hearts Academy. So
Ah,
we go way back, Hanabata days.
that's exactly what he said. We go way back. So, what a small world. What a small world.
It is, it is. And I just love that, again, we're talking about not only period poverty, the issue, but just periods, in general. A lot of the work that my sisters and I are doing is to really just normalize what half of the population goes through. We started my movement at the end of 2020. And, there was an issue that I had learned about when I was overseas, but my sister Brandy, who's on Hawaii Island, she does Native Hawaiian Health for Queen's Hospital. We're in the thick of the pandemic. And she calls me and she says, hey, Nikki, there's all these different organizations, providing services from Keiki to Kupuna. What about period products? And when we looked into the issue locally, even though that this was a menstrual inequity and period poverty was being addressed globally and also on the continent, it really, there was no singular organization that was looking at it in the state of Hawaii. And so, you know, local girls, born and raised on Oahu and Waimanalo, being Native Hawaiian, we said, let's create something that speaks to the community and, really control and drive the narrative. So, when we started Ma'i movement, we thought, okay, maybe it might be a few boxes, donations here and there. And it quickly developed into, a large organization. Well, it's still, run by us sisters and a volunteer, but we have our services, we have education that's gender inclusive and locally inspired, and of course we have our advocacy work. And we have provided guidance to numerous organizations. We have 12-year-old students that reach out to us that want to do drive, the Zonshins as well. So it has been amazing to really bring all the efforts across the state together. I just saw Senate President Kouchi hop on.
Yeah, he is here. He is in the flesh. Welcome, Senator
Yes,
Kouchi.
yes, yes. There he is, Ron. Good to have you with us tonight, Senate President.
Well, Charlie, I hope to get you out of the dark and into the light,
Well,
or
it's
it's keeping you in the dark.
well, she said that, I don't think you'll make it home in time to get on the show, so just do it from your office. And I said, okay. And this office has never been set up for this occasion. But we've got such a great a show tonight. But I want to ask one question, Juan. Okay, and many of my uh, fellow supporters of you as well have been asking this question, and they asked me if I knew anything, and I said, well, maybe he's coming on tonight. Maybe I'll just ask him tonight, and that is regarding the upcoming elections. First of all, are you running again?
Well, I got a long answer for that. When this is the year where we do the reapportionment, and the
Okay.
whole Senate runs, and uh, there's a formula. Part of the formula is district with the least amount of change is normally given a 4-year term, and you'll have two fours end on two, and then the other half of the Senate has two 2-year terms and end on two 4-year terms. And so I was confident I'd get a 4-year term, and I've already started telling some of my friends and supporters that at the end of the 4-year term, if I were to get reelected. Uh, I'll be 69 years old, and I think that that's enough time. This Mai movement has become something that I've gotten involved with from November of last year, more actively in December, and going forward, we've been working on getting piloting educational programs for the students of Kauai, farm to school, farm to the hospital, farm to the prisons, and trying to get more agricultural products in place. uh, Representative Tokioka had gotten the funding for the Kauai High School gym when Linda Lingo was governor. It wasn't released, so that is being built. We're working on the Waimea High School gym, and I've been working with Representative Nakamura, hoping to get the gym for Kapa'a. So there's quite a bit of things that I've been working on that I would like to see through. And so, it's certainly my intention to run. However, to the long part of the answer, so you got to get home, you got to get your signatures. I'd like to go and file my papers at, the county elections office and not at here in Honolulu. And our eldest son, Dan, decided not to get married in August. And he decided, he and his wife Katie, and I say wife, so 2 Saturdays ago they got married here on Oahu. So I didn't get home. Then I had family fly in from the mainland on Oahu this past weekend, and wanted to spend time with them, so I stayed here. And this weekend we're racing deadlines, so I'm not going to get home to Kauai again. I'm hoping to get back to Kauai, but Friday will be Good Friday next weekend. So, maybe when session is over, I'll have a day where I can actually get around to that. But at this point, it's just a matter of wanting to kind of talk to some people. There's been some people who have signed my papers year in, year out, and if I just went by convenience and left them out, I don't want to get any kind of hard feelings. So that's been part of the problem of not getting all of the papers together and having it done. But we'll also see how the session ends. I mean, right now I feel great. Right now I think the Kauai team is going to have some great results for Kauai. But I've been here before when it looked like it was all going good, and all of a sudden it got crazy at the end. So, when the session's over, we'll reassess. But certainly at this point, with all of the work and things that I've been involved in, I am intending to run. And certainly getting to know Nikki and her passion, I want to be sure that she's going to be successful as they move the Mayan movement forward.
Well, thank you very much. So now I am confident that now I can see why my back of my armada is filled with so many banners. So thank you very much. Now I know what it's there for. But again, ladies and gentlemen who just joined us today, we have a very, very special show with two of our esteemed guests, Nikki-Ann Yee from the Ma'i movement, as well as Senate President Ron Kouchi, and of course my brother that's on the left side of the screen, Mr. Mel Charlie. And we're going to be talking about something that's very dear now that we know about it, and it's funny. You would never think that this would have become an issue, but now I can see why it is and why it's very, very important. So why don't you lead in and help us lead into this, Mel? Do you have any questions for our guests?
I just want to really hear from Nikki and share a little bit about. I know it's the three sisters. A little bit guest research today, um, but I think for our viewers, that may not know what the heck we're talking about, they come on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, thinking that they're going to hear about COVID and some new updates. But tonight is a deviation from our COVID show and about a topic, and this is for the benefit of the viewers that just popped on. The issues surrounding periods. I mean, that the issues that some of our young ladies experience because of, for many reasons, but basically cannot afford these products that they need to keep themselves clean. And so maybe just start again for the benefit of the people that just hopped on. What was the inspiration? Where did this all begin? Uh, where are we today? And I know there's some legislative action as well that is involved in your movement, but maybe you can define the problem, how you guys all got involved, and where this thing is, where is this movement heading?
Sure. Period poverty is, basically the inability to get period products like pads or tampons. As the name suggests, it is related to financial restraints. It's socioeconomic, not having enough money. This is a term actually that has been used for, the past few decades by, advocates that have been fighting for menstrual equity or inequity, I should say, which kind of speaks to the broader issue. And that is caused by reasons, not just socioeconomic, but not getting enough education around menstruation and how to manage that, whether that's at home or at school. Actually, right before this, I was earlier in the afternoon, I went to Like Elementary because I was dropping off pads and tampons to the school. And I was just speaking with teachers there and, asking them, is when do students learn, about periods or even just kind of have a health class in general? And, what they said was really not uncommon. They said, oh, we don't know. It used to be in fifth grade. Maybe it's in intermediate. Sometimes I hear it's in high school. So there really is no consistent policy. And, not everybody has support at home where they have parents or guardians that are able to speak with them about what's happening with their bodies. It is so natural, right? It happens to half the population. And yet periods are something that people aren't talking about. And, another factor is feelings of cultural or societal shame. And even not having a clean place to, malama your ma'i, no clean water, clean bathroom facilities. Now, when I first learned about the issue of period poverty, I was living overseas. And it was about girls and women in Tanzania that, didn't have enough income. And so they were resorting to using rags, leaves, bark, anything that they could find. And they were simply just not going to work or school if they didn't have anything to use. And, I'd never thought in my, wildest dreams that this issue would touch the shores of our islands. But, as I mentioned, when my sisters and I hooied together and said, okay, we have to do something, even if we don't know exactly, what the issue is like in Hawaii, there is a need. And so that's when we really started to, reach out, go into the communities. We are a statewide organization. And I was very proud because at the end of last year, we released the first government report with the Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women on period poverty and menstruation in Hawaii. And, I know we're going to jump to this part, but in the interim between the last session and this, we ran a pilot in 6 schools across the state. And that really framed the issue of menstrual inequity and period poverty in our schools.
And I believe I've been told that you have your organization, or you have received a couple of awards recently. HSTA was one of them, and I can't remember the other one. Recognizing the work that you're doing, and we congratulate you for that. We thank you. But as you were just talking, I'm thinking, we have a lot of single dads out there. I can only visualize my little daughter coming up to me and is starting her period and coming up and say, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." I would have a heart attack. I would not know how to handle that situation, and something that we all should be aware of. And my gosh, so the impacts are far-reaching. And again, just thank you for what you guys are doing. It's incredible.
Well, Mel,
Sure.
Nikki and her team anticipate people like what you described. So they have a QR code, and they have gotten some input from the doctors at KVMH, but there's a fact sheet. And with the QR code, or you go to the link, and they have collateral material that helps explain what some of the myths are, what the truth uh, is about having your period, and why it's normal, and what some of the various outcomes could be. And so there's a lot of factual material that they've put together to make sure that anybody who's not either educated or comfortable in the conversation can get the material they need to have an educated conversation, and to make that conversation one that is comfortable. So it's really fantastic what they've done.
Senate President.
Just real quick, this is the website, folks. Ma'i Movement. It's the maimovement.com. Go check it out, guys. Go check it out. I'm sorry, maimovement.org. And everything you ever wanted to know about period poverty and what this wonderful organization is doing, please go check it out. If you can help, please go ahead and help. Maimovement.org. So, what was that, sir?
Yeah, Senate President, I heard this week you and Nikki met and they have some news for the Capitol. Is that...
Well, Nikki can tell you about that. Nikki is very persuasive.
Okay. So why don't you share that story, Nikki? How's that?
Well, how about I start with what is our vision for Hawaii? What we really want to see, our vision is to end period poverty in Hawaii. And when people ask me, okay, what does that mean, Nikki? And I said, it's, where we can live in a world where this is not an issue. And, other countries have done it, like Scotland, where period products are free everywhere. There is a city in Michigan that has also become the first city in the U.S. to make period products free in public spaces. And, it's my goal to make Hawaii the first state, because period products are as basic as toilet paper. Nobody ever thinks twice about providing toilet paper. And I do want to share, a short personal story. I lived in China for many years, in Beijing. And when I first moved there, in early 2000, toilet paper was not provided. You had to carry your own, or you had to pay for it. Sometimes it'd be napkins in a basket. So, everyone would just kind of carry it around. And if you didn't have, you would ask a friend, or, as I mentioned, pay. But there was a time, and it was the Olympics, but when the government said we are going to make toilet paper free everywhere. And from then on, toilet paper was provided free in China. And so, I hope that in the next few years, with our work, it's, not just addressing the socioeconomic issue, but just the basic equity part. So leading to the question, now we've been working really hard with a fellow teacher and advocate, Ms. Millie of Ilima Intermediate School, to pass legislation that would make period products free in all public and charter schools. And I was on Instagram, and Representative Capella had tagged me because another one of her legislator colleagues had sent her, how they were putting period products free in their capital. And, I had remembered that last year, the Women's Legislative Caucus had put diaper changing stations in everywhere. So I sent Senate President a note and said, would it be possible that we could start to provide period products free in the Capitol, especially now that it's open and people are coming in to testify?
Wow, that's
So the short answer is we met with Kurt Otogura, the comptroller, Dags is in charge of the state capitol with clerk of the Senate, Carol Taniguchi, Nikki, and I. And so we hope, we'll be able to secure the dispensers that we need. And, as soon as we get those in, then we're going to start providing free products in the bathrooms of the Senate. That's the area I am in charge of, at least.
Congratulations.
What is the likelihood of having these products made available to the schools? I would assume, and I don't know, I have not purchased these products in a very long time, but it, I cannot see it being that expensive. The analogy that you use with toilet paper just makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense. So I don't know what it would take as far as funding, but how far are we? And maybe Nick, you can start, and then we'll get the official answer from the Senate President. But how far away do you think we are in this state from possibly getting these products in our schools?
This is the third year that the bill has been introduced. The first year it was 2020. So of course the session was truncated due to COVID, and last year there was a deficit. So it was also a very difficult year to introduce legislation. But what I will say, even though the bill did not go anywhere last year, when we were able to have hearings with the resolution, we really got to hear from the DOE and legislators about what information they needed to make it happen. And Mel, you touched on it already, cost and implementation, and even just understanding and education around the problem in our public schools. So, that's where the pilot was very instrumental in making it happen, because, we not only provided products and we put it in many locations. So, beyond the health room, we wanted it to be freely and accessible. So, in Chief's Kamakahele, they have it in every single classroom, in the bathrooms, even in the individual bathroom stalls and counselors' offices, so that students can get it anytime. And what we also worked with them to do was, to make take-home kits during the breaks. Food is provided during breaks, and so, why not period products? And so students, are taking them home over Christmas break, which has been really great to see. And we also found, when they didn't have the products, because we surveyed students and teachers, not only were they missing out on class or not coming to school, but they were using unhygienic alternatives. Senate President had also spoken about it, newspapers, leaves, uh, diapers, things that no one, and especially our keiki, should be using. And so I think, because we were able to really frame the issue in our schools, we have a lot of support on the House and the Senate side, and also huge community support. There's been incredible civic engagement from students, faculty, and community members from across the state. So I'm very hopeful.
So the short answer is we hope by next school year, Mel. Friday, the House Finance moved the Senate bill that had passed through the Senate, and so we still need to get through the conference and final reading. The identified cost so far is $1 billion for the school year to have it provided in all of the schools. And that's part of the goal. And then obviously with the education and normalizing the conversation, there are young women that are making these difficult financial decisions, even in getting to the workplace, and not having the wherewithal to, or financial means to purchase the feminine. And so at this point, we are hoping that this is going to go a lot bigger. When you see the Zanta Club of Kauai on the front page of the Garden Island newspaper, and all of the social media that has surrounded their drive and efforts, it helps get the news out. Hawaii Community Foundation is aware of the issue. I have talked to them directly, and this is something that they want to be engaged in. And then it's not just men who have never had, menstrual period who need to be educated on this issue. It has surprised me that some women who are in, higher up positions in business were unaware that this was a problem because they were fortunate enough not to be in the poverty level. So the feminine hygiene products they needed were always readily available to them. And when they hear some of the stories, they are certainly very committed and passionate about trying to resolve the issue. And the survey I saw was either 300 or 400, K through 12 students who were surveyed, and at least half had missed school because of feeling embarrassed or not having the proper period products. And so we're working so hard to get devices, connectivity, train our teachers, and trying to advance our children. And then if half of the women that age are missing school, then we're not able to bring all of those resources to bear if they're not in the classroom.
Wow.
Senator, for some of us that are not familiar, what exactly is going through the legislature now? What bills? You mentioned the House side and the Senate side, but what are these bills that are
The
currently
decision
floating?
was to move the Senate bill, and so it passed the Senate unanimously, went over to the House, went through the Education Committee, and then it was heard in Finance last Friday. Nikki flew in from the mainland to testify. They talked about Sarah Milley, who has been one of the teachers and leading advocates with her students at Ilima Elementary School. I got to talk to them last week, Friday, before the rally, and I was presented with this droplet of blood. And in the back, it says, "Mahalo for being," and in quotation marks, "a bloody good legislator and helping fight period poverty in schools." And it's signed by the students who appeared at the Capitol. I know they presented this to Senator Kidani, our education chair in the Senate, to Finance Chair Luke, and Finance Chair Luke has moved the bill, so we just need to get final approval.
It's kind of hard to not move the bill when you get handed this drop of blood from the students, uh, basically asking you to support the bill. But okay, so let's say it does pass final. What does this bill provide? I guess that was the question. What does
No,
this what will
the $1 million, and then what's really challenging, I found out because we had private philanthropy when I was talking about this on Kauai. I immediately had enough commitment or monetary commitment to service all of the schools on Kauai through the end of the school year. And then we found out that you actually need somebody to be the coordinator. Who is going to make sure that you're restocking supplies, who's going to get the containers that the supplies are kept in, and how does it work, and all of that. And so the big deal about the bill passing is it would be a requirement of the Department of Education to provide free feminine hygiene products in all of the schools. We realize elementary schools also need to have some of the products for the girls who mature earlier. And at this point, you would have the coordination as to who in each of the schools would be responsible for the purchasing of the products, the restocking of the products, and with the bill, you bring organization that because we have 200, almost 260 public schools, so this would be beyond what Nikki and her team could do as far as assembling, coordinators in each of the school and ordering supplies and restocking as they're needed.
Awesome, awesome. That's really good news. Really good news. Nikki, so I heard the senator say that you flew in from the mainland to testify. So you currently reside on the mainland?
Yes, I live in Maryland.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
Um,
So this whole effort you basically, because you're from Hawaii, right? You said you went to Sacred Hearts, is that correct? Or Sacred
Yeah,
Hearts?
so born and raised in Waimanalo. I did attend Sacred Hearts in elementary. But this kind of in a way was the silver lining of the pandemic. When my sister Brandy, she's in Honoka'a on Hawaii Island, gave me a call and said, let's do something. It seemed crazy because I was on the East Coast, as far away from Hawaii as I could be. Uh, but at the time, everybody was, of course, working from home, contactless, and so we got together. We enlisted our little sister Jamie, who is on Oahu, to join us. We just worked together, in terms of operations. I did a lot of meetings and outreach, and my sisters really supported in distribution and also doing donation drives. And one thing I do want to say, kind of just giving back and piggybacking on what Senate President had said, about the implementation in the schools. The pilot has also given us the opportunity to work with different kinds of schools and figure out how it can work. So, we also started working with Kapa'a Middle, Waimea Canyon Middle, Waimea High, and what was Kauai High School, in addition to Chiefs. And so we've been meeting with them, to provide guidance on how they can do it. And, I will say the schools that have, since joined the movement, not just on Kauai, but on Hawaii Island and even Oahu, students and teachers are both really just taking the program and rolling it out. So, I do see, I'm very hopeful that it can happen. And, it's thanks to educators and even just other clinics and nonprofits that we work with that, we can provide the support and the guidance and they can take it from there. So I think, even though I'm in Maryland and working on East Coast time, that's just a true testament to the people of Hawaii and the community.
Now,
Well,
Nikki,
I mean,
what about nonprofits? I understand. I got this little note here that Hawaii Food Bank is a nonprofit distributor, right? So, can you tell me what they'll be doing in about a week for our ladies on the island?
We are working with Wes at the Hawaii Food Bank, and thanks to a donation, we are able to plan for 1,000 kit distribution. So also today I was uh, packing up feminine wipes, and tomorrow morning I'm going to be driving to the Hawaii Food Bank because there is a large container heading from Oahu to Kauai. So that will be uh, being sent to Wes, and then he's going to get a team together to put the kits. And it's just amazing work what they do in terms of distribution. And so just being able to, use that and hui with them on that is an incredible opportunity to really get our reach out. I also have a call with Mayor Kawakami in a couple of weeks as well to discuss, how else we can support in the county. Last year in May, because there's a National Period Poverty Awareness Week from May 24th to the 29th, Mayor Kawakami and actually all mayors and the governors issued proclamations. And so that is definitely, a statewide campaign that we're looking forward to again this year.
Okay, perfect.
wow, amazing, amazing. I gotta believe that currently many of our teachers in schools that do not have these products available are probably paying for these products out of their own pockets and providing them to their students. And I've seen some comments to that effect. But a real shout out to the teachers as well that have filled this gap for so long, and with many products. And I hope this goes through. It sounds like it's moving well, and I think one of the things that we can almost guarantee is that the community will step up at some point to, like the Hawaii Food Bank and other agencies that would be more than willing to assist in distribution or whatever is needed. I'm hoping the village will visit the site and offer whatever help they can. Uh, for me, I did not hear about this until just a month ago, or less than a month ago, and now it seems like it's everywhere. It's you're hearing about it more and more on different newscasts, whether it's local news or mainland news. Is this movement is pretty much across the country? Is this something that is pretty prevalent throughout our country? This issue of products for our kids.
It is, and we are a local grassroots organization, and completely independent. But we are also part of the Alliance for Period Supply. So we work with a lot of other states and their advocates on, not just getting the mana'o from them and seeing what we can do legislative wise, but also operations. And what we are really trying to do, as an organization is, of course, thanks to supporters like Senate President Kouchi, Senator Kidani, Chair Woodson, Luke, and also Senator Casio, we're able to, address it at the state level. But, we're really trying to look at it from all areas. So county, state, and federal. And, just this past weekend, we were on the morning show with Congressman Kai Tanay to also, to let him share out what is being done. There is federal legislation that was introduced by Congresswoman Meng of New York, and see how we can support too.
But Mel, as an example, in November of last year, there is a National Women's Legislators Organization. Senator Donna Mercado Kim is past president of the organization. And this was at the top of their agenda in their November meeting. That's part of how it got onto the Women's Caucus because of this being discussed nationally. Of course, Nikki and her sisters then put Ma'i movement instead of ending period poverty and, the Hawaiian twist to bringing the awareness to the issue. So that it's been a conversation that has been ongoing nationally and from what Nikki has said globally. And the other thing I did not fully appreciate or realize is the bully pulpit I have as Senate President. I read an article on Monday, January 17th in Civil Beat about this, where Sarah Milley was quoted, and Sarah Kern, who is piloting the project at Chiefs Kamakahele Middle School. And, when I gave my opening remarks on January 19th for the Senate, I spoke specifically about this and didn't realize just how far reaching those comments would be shared in social media platforms, and the difference of having a man who happens to be president of the Senate highlighting this issue. And so for you and Charlie to be having Nikki and I on the show, this continues to move the tipping point. And as you say, it's everywhere. When I talked to Micah Kane 3 weeks ago, he had the same observation. Everywhere he's turning, people are talking about this because we are pushing the conversation and we are being given great platforms by which we can share the information. And then clearly, whoever hears the message is moved. Whoever hears the message immediately knows how important this is, and wherever they're going, they continue to share the story.
Yeah, and I think that's this broadcast tonight is live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And we ask our viewers, the villagers, to share this. Just share it. It's very simple. It doesn't cost you a penny. You just share it. Hit the share button on whatever platform you're on, and allow this to spread out. This is a topic that I think most people, again, like myself, really didn't really understand until now, and even after tonight, it more intriguing. And it's up to us to send it even further, and every one of us can help. But I did want to ask a question, Nikki. Growing up, and I'm a little older, I think, than you. Probably a lot older than you. Not
I'll
as
go
old
with
as
the
Senator,
second.
not as old as Senator Kochi, but still a lot older than you. Um, when I was growing up, and kids are mean. Kids are mean, especially boys. And when some these girls have accidents, and it can be devastating. It can be truly devastating. Are there programs in place, educational programs? Because as you're talking about distribution, I'm thinking, wow, as a football coach, I want to get my football boys to go out and help volunteer passing out these things and getting the kids, the boys, the male kids, the boys to participate and understand how they can help this, and teach them that it's nothing to, number one, to make fun of, and number two, to understand what the heck is going on. Is that part of this program, the educational component? I know that Senator Kochi, you got the blood drop from the kids. Were there male kids or boys out there
Yes,
assist? That
yes.
that would make me cry. That really would make me tear up, because that, I think, is a big part of this. If there's understanding in schools, um, because I've seen it. I've seen it growing up. It's horrific what kids can do to other kids, especially when someone has an unexpected period. It can be really, really disastrous. So there are. Is that something that you guys are working on as well? Is that something that this bill will include, funding for educating and talking about this openly, so that these it's a normal, natural occurrence that should not be made fun of?
I have to say that was one of the most beautiful things that actually came out of the pilot. When we ran it, we were very focused on, ensuring that we provided products, whatever the schools needed, pads, tampons or liners, and, making sure that it was accessible in many locations. And in doing that, what we found, in the comments, from the teachers and the students, that not only were menstruating students feeling empowered, more confident, they weren't shamed. I know even a lot of women my age, will, if we have to go change our pad or a tampon, we'll hide it in our shirt or in our jacket, in our pocket. But these kids are just walking around, grabbing it, going to the bathroom, or even just voicing and advocating to their teachers, when they're in extreme pain, have migraines, throwing up because of their period, and cannot be in school. But what we found were, comments that boys were becoming desensitized to the issue. Some of them actually had never seen a pad or tampon, so they thought it was candy at first. But then when they realized, what it was, their initial reaction kind of was like, oh, that's gross. I don't want to touch that. But then it became an education opportunity to say, look, this is what it's for and why it's important. And we had menstruating and non-menstruating students, actually making the kits, so their peers were also getting involved in, you know supporting their friends, because they realize that this is a basic need, and it's unfair that their friends have to go through it, they're missing out on school. And so if that's a way that they can be a non-bleeding ally, then they're all for it. And we just started our education. We piloted it last year, and with the help of the Kauai doctors, we were able to add to it. But our next step in education, of course, is providing programs for non bleeding individuals, whether it's for, like you mentioned, dads that have daughters, or if it's just for general education, so non-menstruators can also understand what is happening. Again, what I hear from different educators is that still to this day, the boys and girls are separated whenever they talk about health and their bodies.
Well,
I wanted to say something that's kind of unique that I found interesting since we're talking about this subject. And as a CPR first aid instructor, especially when we bring high school students into the program. One of the things I teach is that when you go hiking and you're like on an emergency, sometimes and you get cut really bad, you got to stop the bleeding, right? And it doesn't pertain to this subject, but it does pertain to the situation of how do you stop a bleeding. And so I said the best thing to take with you on a hiking trip is a sanitary napkin because that's what it does. It will stop the bleeding. And when you present it to the student that way, they don't even think about what the what it was designed to do in the first place. And I think that might be a way, when you team up with instructors that teach these classes, to kind of explain that, hey, though we're talking about an emergency situation, but this is also, used for women, and it might be a easier segue to get into discussing that subject. That's my belief, because I think many times I do see young ones that kind of shy away or think it's funny, and I don't think they have a mean bone in their body. It's just they may be uncomfortable, but we have to find a way of kind of breaking the ice so they don't become uncomfortable.
And Mel, to your answer, I saw Sarah Kern's station at Chiefis. I saw via Zoom. I saw Sarah Mealy's at Ilima, and on March 1st, Senator Ocasio, Nikki, and I went to Farrington High School, where another one of the pilots is going on. And essentially, they have on a rolling cart 6 Tupperware, the side by side, stacked up 3 high, and it sits right in the middle of the classroom so that the conversation is something that will naturally occur. And it's also not hidden somewhere, or you're not required to go to the help room because you may need it immediately. And there isn't any kind of shame in it. We had some of the teachers or counselors involved, and then we had several students, and there were 3 male students who were part of the conversation with the young ladies. So it wasn't just a conversation with the young ladies; it was both. And the girls were saying how whether a friend or boyfriend would routinely go and get whatever it was they needed and bring it to them. And it was, it's now become a normal, routine, comfortable thing for them. And then what was very impressionable to me is female teacher in her 30s is my guess. Of course, it would be impolite to ask her how old she was, but she was very clear. She said, when I was a teenager and I would have my period and I would want to talk about it, my mom said, you cannot talk about this in front of your father. This is not an appropriate conversation to have with him. And let's go off in the private, and we'll talk, but we're not involving him. And so she felt like she was doing something wrong, or she felt ashamed because it wasn't something that could be discussed. And so the outcome, as Nikki had said, well, initially was to provide the products. Now the information is there, and the way in which they have the displays, creates the opportunity for the conversation, and most importantly, the normalization. And so the only other thing I would tell you, Nikki came to do some filming at Chiefis and see their project toward the end of February, and she was at my house and she was trying to share with Stephanie and my wife some of the array of products they have, including some of these, panties that they would use and other things. And then she kept apologizing to me as she was trying to open and pick these things out. And I said, if you're going to normalize the conversation, you got to stop apologizing to me. And you can just proceed to explain what all of these things are. I'm paying attention because somebody might ask me the question. I need to know, what is in your packet. And, but as great as Nikki has been, she's had all of these values drilled into her her whole life, and so it's not easy to break that lifetime of learned behavior to be the person we want to be.
I'm smiling because as you were telling the story about let's not have this discussion here, let's have it on the side. Former council chair from Maui, Gladys Baisa, posted a comment. It says, "If you had told me when I was a teen 65 years ago this show would happen, I would have said you guys were crazy." It is amazing to hear and see someone like President Kochi and all of you openly discuss this. Thank you so much. Free at last. But I mean that is exactly right, Ron. You hit it on the head, right? I mean, there was a time where you wouldn't even have this discussion. I'm blessed and honored to have it tonight, and it's so refreshing and very informative. And I guess the best part of all of this is about the acceptance or the understanding of the kids that it's okay and that we're not seeing the bullying and the teasing because again, man, that can be hurtful and it could have lifelong effects. So I love it, man. I'm just honored to have you guys here. Again, the website is mymovement.org. Guys, you guys need to share this presentation tonight. Just hit the share button, get it out on all platforms. Uh, Nikki, how can we help? How can the general public, our villagers, it's wonderful that you have the support of the legislature and the Senate president. That's just man, that makes it so much more, so much easier. But what can we as normal people do to help you in your cause?
Definitely continuing, the conversation. I am completely blown away. Here we are, there's three non-menstruators and one menstruator, talking about periods and what we could do to help. And so I think just uplifting these conversations, a lot of times people say, Nikki, what can we do? Like, should we do like a big fundraiser and, all these kind of things. And while that's needed, I think, just kind of stepping back and, openly talking about it within your families. My sisters and I, we all have sons, and even just starting there, letting them know, okay, here, this is a pad, this is a tampon, this is what happens. I think then there's definitely a ripple effect. But just to let you guys know, coming up in May, I spoke about it. We are going to be launching our statewide campaign. We did the same thing last year where every single island, we hooeyed with local businesses and we raised monetary and product donations in the first 2 weeks of May. And then we repackaged it, and everything that was donated on every island, we then redistributed it back into the community there. So, we will be launching that again in May. You guys can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook. And if you want to get involved, please reach out to me, Nikki@maimovement.org.
Awesome. And don't forget, guys, you can go to the website. You can, I believe you can make a contribution. I know, local people get a hard time ask for money. I know it's hard, but, we all want to help. We all want to help in our little way. And Nikki would love to have you back when you're ready to launch that statewide campaign. We'd love to have you back on with the Senate president. Hopefully, I'm positive we'll have good news that the Senate bill had passed and that we'll be well on our way um, to getting this thing done. Quite exciting. Senator Kochi, do you have anything? We'll give Nikki the last word, but I did want to give you an opportunity, Senate President, to share your manao with our villagers.
No, well, first, just thank Nikki for educating me, and it's been a pleasure to work with her. She's energetic, she's passionate, and thoroughly professional when she's doing this. But I would be remiss or do not want to potentially mislead, your viewers. So when I had been hearing about this, I said, "Gosh, I saw Sarah Kern posting in social media on this." And I started talking to her, and she told me about meeting Nikki and her two sisters. And it is through Sarah that I started reaching out to Nikki. And Sarah happens to be married to my son Egan. I'm incredibly proud of the work that Sarah has done and the things that she chooses to volunteer to help make our island of Kauai a better place. I'm so happy to have her with Egan and on Kauai teaching our children and making a difference every day she gets up and walks out of the door. And without people like my daughter-in-law and Nikki educating me, I wouldn't be able to do the kind of things that I can do. So I'm grateful to have learned. And then the parting comment to Charlie's opening question, the other thing I realized, Charlie, is I met my wife Joy in November of 1984. And I remember it was right after my first re-election. 3 years later, we got married in November of 87. And I have been with Joy for 38 years now. And in that 38 years, I've been a county council member 20, a 3 year member of the KIUC board, and 12 years in the Senate. And this November will be our 35th anniversary, and this October, my 65th birthday. And I've been blessed with, she has allowed me to do public service for 35 of the 38 years we've been together. And I need to kind of figure out when is it time for me to commit back to her for all that she has sacrificed and giving me the opportunity to serve in the way that I've been able to serve. So thank you guys for a great show, and I'll give the last word to Nikki.
Nikki, it's all you, girl.
Well, again, I can't thank you enough for having me on the show tonight. I always tell people I talk to anybody that wants to talk about periods. It doesn't matter who, but this, tonight does feel very special. So I really do mahalo you all for having me on. But I did want to end, the last one. I saw a question come up in the chat. And by the way, I just love seeing all the action in the chat tonight. A very lively discussion there. But, someone had put in the chat, why am I so passionate? And I think this is the perfect question to end the night on. And, we are Native Hawaiian, and we were always raised, that we have to take care of our land, our people on it. I am also part Chinese, and my family, has always been involved in civic engagement as well. So, just this really strong sense of kuleana to our families, to our people. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I still remember that moment. I think, we've all kind of shared, everybody has had this moment when they learn about the issue, and it's almost like a punch to the gut. And I remember when I read that article, and my daughter was 9 at the time, and I just looked at her, and me being a woman and a menstruator myself, I just told myself, this is not a reality I would accept from my daughter or for anybody else. And when I think about my upbringing as well, it hits home especially. So, this keeps me up late at night. I'm constantly sending emails, taking any calls, because the more we can talk about it, I know that we can end period poverty and address menstrual inequity in Hawaii. So, mahalo, everyone.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Charles.
Well,
Charles,
first,
come out of the dark. Come out of the dark, Charles.
well, I would like to say, first of all, thank you to our two wonderful guests that we had on tonight. Very enlightening. I am so blessed to have been part of this and to hear what has been shared. Uh, folks, we've come a long way. We started off with COVID every so often. We had different topics, and tonight was no different. We brought on something that I think was needed, and I know when it was first approached to me from my beautiful wife. This year makes 26 years, and like Ron, I'll be celebrate this year. Be celebrating my 27th birthday. Um, in dog years. In dog years. Um, I I just want to say thank you to all the villagers out there, and and the next time you see me coming to you live from my workplace, I'll have some lights up. But for now, I want to say thank you to the gang over at Fritos for giving me my dinner to keep me going so I can make the drive all the way to Waimea. But I just like to say thank you again, Nikki. You're an amazing person. My wife talks so highly about you, and she's absolutely right. Everything you said tonight, it just hit every single point. And to our Senate President, who we love so much, I mean, can't thank you enough for what you've done for Kauai, as well as what you've done for the rest of the state. You've been a true champion for many fronts, and all we can ask you is please just give us as much time as you can, and I thank Joy in advance. I don't want her to beat me up, but I want to thank her in advance for sharing you with all of us. So thank you to both of you for this wonderful night. Mel,
Thanks, Charlie. Thank you, Nikki, and your two sisters, and all of the volunteers that make this possible. I mean, your passion is obvious. It's just an amazing thing that you're doing. I think you're raising awareness. It's just incredible. Glad to be able to help in this small way. Again, villagers, thank you for joining us tonight. Uh, Again, share this as much as you can. Share it with people with kids, with daughters and granddaughters. Let everybody know. Give them this important information. Senate President Kouchi, appreciate what you're doing at the Capitol uh, with this project, and I have no doubt that it'll go through. The bill will pass, and we'll get this thing moving, and our girls, our sisters in schools will be able to get the products that they need. So thank you, thank you, thank you again. Nikki, the invitation is open whenever you want to come back on. We'd love to have you back before the statewide kickoff. We want to help you with that. We want to be a part of that. So please stay in touch. Villagers, tomorrow night we don't have a show. We moved tomorrow night's show to tonight, so we could have these two special guests on. We will be back on Friday night with heaven knows. I don't know what we'll talk about after this one, man. This is gonna be tough to beat, but we'll figure it out. We'll get something fun and exciting, and we'll see you guys on Friday night. All right, guys, you guys take care, stay safe, God bless.
hey
We love
Mel,
you.
Mel,
Yo,
before
yo.
before you go, Mel, I just want
Yes,
to ask one question.
yes,
I
sir.
know we talked about what we did tonight, but let's think about this too. I think the whole entire subject of hygiene for both male and female should be addressed because I think our young men, our upcoming young men, they need to learn about hygiene as well. And I think that'll be a worthwhile subject. So we'll make it for another time. And we'll ask our guests back on. Maybe they have some ideas. Okay?
Well, we can start with the Portuguese who only bathe on Saturdays, right? Hey, start bathing every day.
Or
Start bathing every day.
or you can get like us Hawaiians who I see reading comments about the light. So yeah, I'm in the light.
You see, Nikki. You see what I gotta go through. This we do this Monday, Wednesdays. I gotta 3 nights a week. I gotta deal with this. I thought we would be free and clear. I thought tonight I was gonna be spared, but no, no. Anyway, I love you guys. You guys take care. Stay safe. God bless. We'll see you guys.